Hey everyone, welcome back to Raymond's Shamanic Life. So, today we'll be having some tales, some stories, and what we can do to protect ourselves. Oh. So, from here on, I will be using this image that I had in my earlier years of practicing and whatnot. There's very few stories I shared personally, but this is one of the stories that I have set up. Have that I've already shared with many people already. This kind of is public, more so. So I performed a ceremony. It was one on my own. It was guided by me. I'm ending off a separate ceremony, and that ceremony was just to end off clear the energy. He, it was about a 3 day ceremony, and then I ended up feeling it on the last day. I was like, okay, let's shut this down for now. And so I did, and I performed a fire ceremony. I'm not going to go over to what fire ceremony is because I'm not able to teach exact basics of what it is, okay? Until I get my mastery in shamanism for 5 years, okay? That's the only way I'll be able to teach the exact concept of it. And during this time, it was just like, okay, it was calm. It was peaceful. It was too peaceful to withhold. And with me recently moving into a new home, it's of course obvious that I do not have any wards up during this time or any protection up that I have now. I won't show them, but I have it all up and ready to go. Okay. Now, I didn't have any of this during the time. So I went ahead and went on my own journey to sleep that night after fire ceremony. It was to release things. It was focused on my medicine, okay? That is that is. If you're not familiar with shamanic medicine, it has to do with the emotions and nothing else. Okay. And while this was focused on the emotions, it was also something that never occurred to me. Of course, a friend ended up talking to me about how the topic succubus, as how she had a cast one. And she went ahead, she banished it with black salt. I'm not going to get into the details of who this person is because I don't have permission to share any information. So, well, this is just to get concept for a story's sake and just to really give you an atmosphere of it. So, that's she vanishes from a succubus using her knowledge and experience. She is a Norse? Question mark. Let's say she's Norse right now, okay? And she he ended up going to a church group because she doesn't get out any other way, it seems. And and it's for mostly social for her. And a succubus ended up showing. It's like, okay, I think this was also a girls group, or it's either a girls group or a general church youth group that she volunteers for because churches don't always care about background. Okay, that's just to put you in perspective. Yes. Of course, it was explained to me that she was the only one to know. She was able to give a lesson on this succubus during that time. If you don't know what a succubus is, there are many resources out there saying what it is. And yeah, so continuing on throughout the night, I go ahead, put the phone away. That's what I ended up doing. I put the phone away. I went to sleep. After I go to sleep, I wake up about, oh, it's about 1 in the morning at this point. Right? And this spirit ended up coming in middle of the night. So I wake up. I am feeling like I need to move. So I move. I feel old skin shedding off of me. It's just shedding. But it feels like bed bugs. Like, just imagine the sensation of energy falling off, but feeling like old bugs, bed bugs, for example. It feels like that. That's what it felt like. And they're just falling off of you as you're waking up. That was not a good feeling. Of course, I go to the restroom and combat it. See if this is me, just me, or it's actually manifested as what it is. So go to the restroom. That's it. Was just my brain. I ended up going back a few other times during this process, and so I lay down, and this spirit, it was coming off as did a pretty good job at acting, but it came off as an incubus. It was like, hey, I'm going to drive you up the wall. I'm going to take your energy. I'm like, so, of course, I'm not able to see spirits with my physical eye, so this is just like one of those cases where I'm like, okay, I can do one or two things. I can feel them, of course. That's how I knew what it was. I felt it. It's like, okay, I can either respond to you or I can ignore you, pretty much. And what I ended up doing was I ended up ignoring it. And this is I don't sleep with much on at night. I only sleep with one layer on my lower half. If y'all, well, everyone should know what I mean by that. Mostly the guys, but it was one of those scenes. It's just I had to ignore it. And eventually it did end up going away. I remember I was grounding him as it was going on, so my cord wasn't going directly through my chakras. It was directly to the ground from my third chakra to the bed. That's how I was grounding ish. I now realize I probably should put it into the proper channels, but it is what it is. So how it eventually he went ahead and it went away on its own. It was one of those cases where it went away on its own. I remember it because I woke up in the middle of the night. I was not too happy, and I was like, okay, I'm just gonna go to sleep. Um, yeah, that's how I was exposed to it. Um, I think this was on the first week or second week of moving in, so it wasn't very long after I moved in. Okay, and it was one of those things that I had to get my guard up. I had to get my warrior or face on. I had to get my shamanic face on. It was just one of those scenes. It was a negative energy and that I didn't want to feed. So what lesson can we take from this? Is that we don't have to feed dark energies. We don't have to put up a ward around our rooms to take them down or to leave them out. Now, a ward is good for leaving them out, but they won't be able to come in. So let's just go into presence a little bit. I want to go into presence because what happened. So presence allows you to feel and move things in the proper channels that's needed. It also indicates whether that energy is strong or not. So a weak spirit would represent a weak war, weak-minded person. If a weak spirit can come on in, but that's not always the case. So it still happens from time to time, but just not as frequent once you grow. So then we get to the shield of the mind. We protect our mind and our thoughts. So whenever I'm encountering a negative spirit, my mind is completely blank. Nothing else other than my thoughts in the moment is working. So I go through it, go on in. And it ends up going into it's like, okay, I can't get you to move. I can't get you to listen to what I'm directing you to do. So I'm just going to leave. That's what the spirit did. That's what happened. I didn't feed into it. I said, you're an egregore, aren't you? It didn't respond, of course. I didn't expect it to respond, but it's like, okay, you know who I am. That's kind of how I debated it. It's like, it's a created spirit, and it was called a demon. So that's all it is, as to an average mind. And so I let it be, and it let me alone since. And really, if we protect our minds from that stuff, we can recognize what it is. We can recognize if it's a true spirit or a false spirit. No way around it. So I end up contacting a few people. I send this out on Discord and a few other places as well. And this is just one of those moments where it's like, okay, I probably should have wards up. So if you're not familiar with how I make wards, it's all energetic and it only lasts a few months before it dissipates. And really, it's one of those scenes is that I was asked, did I have any wards up? I ended up responding, no, I did not have wards put up. It was the exact phrase was from like the occult teacher, not my direct teacher, but she's able to give advice where I need it. She's like, you should check your words. You should go through that process. I'm like, okay, I didn't have any wards up. It was completely bystander. It was not in my mind during that time. It was freshly moving in. So I didn't have things set up until I would like to say the very next day, but it was a few days after that. I'm on, yeah, it was week two of, no, week three is when I put all the protection I needed up. And I was like, okay. And after that conversation, I kind of thought about it a little bit. It's like, what are wards? Are they just shields, or could I do more with them? Because I hear it as a common topic. Um, Apparently, you can create a ward pretty much out of anything. It can be a spirit or it can be a guardian. It doesn't matter what the ward is, it's what you manifest. So, this kind of just leads into my newer story that no one has heard other than a select few yet. So, this is very recent when I was working with the Black Flame. As y'all know, is that, well, not all of you know, but how I initiated was on my own. And I performed a ritual that was very energetic. It was very spiritual in a way. It was very occult. I will tell you that. And activity around me was just picking up, and that's why it was like, okay, we're giving this kind of refinement process, but I need guidance on how to do it. So after the ritual, I was burning with negative energy. It's like, this is bad. This is bad. I was walking all the way back, and it was one of those scenes. It was overstimulating my energy, and what happened is that it was spreading. It was spreading like wildfire. So I got back into the home, and I'm like, okay, I'll try to last what I can. But then my guardian spirit said, hey, don't do this again. That was literally how it sounded. It was, hey, don't do this again. I'm warning you. I will leave you if you do this again. Because I'm here to protect you and you're using my energy. It's like, okay. So I ended up talking to it. And I'm still dealing with it, but it's not as bad. In a way, I do agree with it. It was not fair to it. And I need to give a good offering for it. For just giving me that protection when I needed it. And really, that's kind of how wards are used, though. I don't want to be disrespectful to it, but it's like, hey, you're a guardian. It didn't want me to fall down into a hole of harmful behavior. I understand that, and I will respect it if I must for this ward to stay. Um, so this was kind of just an awakening point of like, okay, I am done with this. I am truly unrelated to it. So eventually we came upon agreement that it can be a lesser working ritual that can be smoother. So I'm gonna get it refined with the ritual, see what is working, what doesn't work. Um, so yeah, that's kind of what led up to yesterday at this point. And this is just one of those stories that, yeah, it's not a game when you play with this. I think that's the number one lesson is that a lot of people who play Ouija board or they watch Sam and Cody, they're at least 13, okay? Minimum at 13. And they are putting themselves at risk just by watching these things. And it's just like, hey, no, this is not for you because you don't have the proper experience or protection that is basic and simple. Or just knowledge. Start with the earlier videos. They explain all of these things. Will a kid listen? Probably not, but who knows? Anyone would listen to anyone nowadays. Um, yeah, that's kind of just how it rolls. And really, I feel bad for the uneducated part of it, in a way. So my goal is kind of just to reveal things as time goes on. But don't treat this like a joke, okay? If you're coming to me at age 13 and you're like, you can't do this, you can't do that, only this can do this, only this can do that, I'm going to tell you you're a liar. That's just how I'm going to put it, okay? Because during my witch years, I saw a lot. I saw a lot just in generally. He, even before I performed Abraham Million, I was seeing a lot. It was very awakening of an experience when I first started practicing. And they were like, oh my gosh, it took me so long to get to where I am. People could say, you can get instant power through this person. And it's like, no, on my own. Through my experience. You don't gain it right away. You grow to there. So, on a spiritual level, we are the balancers of that nature, the balancers of harmony. Uh, Raymond Oscar is referring to a wise protector, protector of the deer, protector of the land. That's what it means. And I've stuck with that title quite a bit. Regarding some of my practices going forward, I'll keep up to date on that, but I will be teaching the Black Flame in a course. But as of right now, I'm working on a separate course. Let's just give an update here. It is called Year of the Witch. So it's the Witch's Path. This is just going for general practices. It will be focused a lot on healing and beginner stages of practice. So we'll be going over different forms of magic and witchcraft that you may not find anywhere else. So let's stay tuned for that. If you are interested in it, I will be listing a price out once I'm done with all the slides. So make sure to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell, and I'll see you all in the next video. Have a good one.